Have you ever wondered why some people manage to keep their homes organized while you struggle with clutter on a daily basis? Today, I'm going to share with you 9 age-old principles that have completely transformed the way I organize not only my home, but also my mind. These aren't just common tidying tips. They're profound philosophies that have been around for centuries and perfected by masters of simplicity and harmony. What many people don't know is that there's a direct connection between an organized environment and a peaceful mind. By the end of this video, you'll have practical tools that can completely change your relationship with your objects and your space. And I'll reveal a secret that's rarely mentioned about how true organization starts long before you touch a single object. So stick around until the end, because the 5th principle in particular completely changed my life, and I'm sure it will change yours too. Tip 1. The path of a place for everything. One of the most common causes of clutter in our homes is not having a designated place for every item we own. When there is no designated place, things tend to scatter and end up taking up any available surface area. This first principle teaches us that we should assign a unique place to every item in our home. This doesn't mean just picking a random spot, but rather thinking carefully about where that item makes the most sense to go, based on when and how you use it. For example, if you frequently use scissors in the kitchen to open packages, keep a pair of scissors in the kitchen instead of always having to go get them from another room. When we implement this principle, something interesting happens. Our brains start to create a mental map of where each item is, which significantly reduces the stress of searching for lost items. Did you know that the average person spends about 10 minutes a day looking for lost items? That's more than 60 hours a year. Imagine what you could do with all that extra time. The most profound benefit of this principle is that when you know exactly where everything is, your mind feels at ease. You no longer have to try to remember where you put a certain item or worry about finding it when you need it. And there's a simple joy in being able to instantly find what you need exactly when you need it. To start applying this principle, pick a room in your home and take some time to evaluate each item. Ask yourself, where is this item used most? Where does it make the most sense to store it? Then create a system that feels intuitive, not just to you, but to everyone in the house. Remember, the goal isn't to create a complex system, but rather one that feels so natural that it becomes second nature to follow. Tip 2. The power of empty space. In our modern society, we are constantly bombarded with the message that more is better. More possessions, more furniture, more decor. However, this second principle invites us to value empty space as much as we value the objects we own. Empty space is not simply the absence of things. It is a vital element in itself. Think of a beautiful piece of music. The silence between the notes is as important as the notes themselves. Likewise, empty space in your home allows important objects to breathe and stand out. When we fill every available inch with something, our eyes and brain have nowhere to rest, creating a constant feeling of restlessness and discomfort. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt a sense of calm without knowing exactly why? Often, it is because that room adheres to the principle of empty space. In practice, this means resisting the urge to fill every shelf, table, and surface. Leave some areas completely free of objects. For example, keep at least 1/3 of each shelf empty. Keep half of your work desk bare. This space isn't wasted, it's serving a very important purpose. It's providing visual and mental relief. A simple way to start implementing this principle is to choose a piece of furniture in your home, perhaps a bookcase or a cabinet, and remove 1/3 of the items from it. You don't have to get rid of them if you don't want to. Just rearrange them so that there's more space between the items. Notice how this changes your perception of that piece of furniture and the room as a whole. Empty space also helps us appreciate the items we choose to keep more. When an item has space around it, we can really see and appreciate it for all its beauty and functionality, rather than just another cluttered item. Tip 3. The practice of material gratitude. Too often, we treat the objects in our homes as something unimportant. We use them, leave them lying around, and then forget about them. This third tip invites us to develop a different relationship with our material possessions, one based on gratitude. Every object in your home is there to serve a purpose. Your chair supports your body, your pan cooks your food, your clothes protect you from the cold. When we begin to recognize the service these objects provide in our lives, we naturally begin to treat them with more respect and care. Think about your favorite pair of shoes. How would it be different if every time you took them off, you mentally thanked them for the comfort and protection they provided your body that day? What if, instead of simply throwing your shoes away, you carefully placed them in their designated place? This simple act of recognition and gratitude completely transforms our relationship with objects. Practicing material gratitude also helps us discern which objects truly deserve a place in our homes. When you hold on to an item and realize that you feel no gratitude for it, that it serves no meaningful purpose in your life, that's a clear sign that it might be time to let it go. Start this practice by choosing 5 items that you use daily and taking a moment to thank each of them before putting them away. Notice how this changes your perception of those items and how it affects the way you treat them. You'll find that this practice of material gratitude naturally leads you to be more organized, as you won't want to just throw something you're grateful for anywhere. Instead, you'll want to store it properly, protect it, and treat it with respect. Before I move on to the next tip, I want to ask for a moment of your time. If you are enjoying this content and want more videos about ancient principles that can transform your modern life, please subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive notifications. Your subscription helps me a lot to continue creating this content. And leave a comment telling me which region you are watching this video from. I love knowing that these ideas are reaching people from different places. Now let's continue with the next tips, which are some of my favorites. Tip 4. The complete task. Cycle, one of the most common causes of clutter in our homes, is the habit of leaving tasks unfinished. We start preparing a meal but don't clean up thoroughly afterward. We pick up a book to read but leave it on the couch instead of putting it back on the shelf. We open mail, but leave envelopes and papers scattered across the table. This fourth principle teaches us about the importance of completing the cycle of each task we begin. Think of each activity as having a beginning, a middle, and an end. Too often we complete the middle, the part that directly benefits us, but ignore the end, which usually involves cleaning, putting away, and restoring order. For example, the full cycle of making a snack doesn't end when you're done eating. It ends when the ingredients have been put back in the refrigerator, the countertops have been cleared, the dishes have been washed or loaded into the dishwasher, and everything is back to the way it was before you started. It sounds like a lot of work, but this principle actually saves a lot of time and energy in the long run. When you complete the cycle of each task, you avoid the gradual accumulation of small clutter that eventually turns into a huge chaos that takes hours to resolve. This principle also has a profound mental benefit. Each completed cycle provides a sense of completion and accomplishment, rather than the constant feeling of having pending and unfinished tasks weighing on your mind. One practical way to implement this principle is to establish a hands-full rule for yourself. This means that whenever you leave a room, look around and pick up something that doesn't belong there and put it back where it belongs. Over time, this simple habit will prevent the accumulation of misplaced items and keep you organized without any extra effort. Tip 5. Practice subtraction before addition. This fifth principle has had the biggest impact on my life personally, and I'm sure it will transform yours as well. Most of the time, when faced with a decluttering problem, our first response is to add something. Buy more storage boxes, install more shelves, purchase more storage furniture. However, true wisdom lies in doing the exact opposite, subtracting before adding. Before investing in storage solutions, ask yourself, what can I get rid of? What objects are no longer serving a meaningful purpose in my life? What is taking up space without providing real value? This practice invites us to look critically at our possessions and recognize that each object in our home demands something from us. It requires physical space, mental attention, and time to clean, organize, and maintain. When we become aware of this invisible cost, we begin to be much more selective about what we allow into our homes. A practical way to apply this principle is to establish a one-in, one-out rule. For every new item you bring home, commit to getting rid of at least one existing item. This keeps the total volume of your belongings constant and forces you to continually evaluate what really deserves to take up valuable space in your home. The most profound benefit of this principle is the freedom that comes with owning less. Less to clean, less to organize, less to fix, less to worry about, and most importantly, more space, both physical and mental, for the things that really matter in your life. Remember, true wealth is not in having a lot, but in needing a little. Tip 6. The harmony of the 5 elements. This 6th principle teaches us that a truly harmonious environment incorporates a balanced representation of the 5 fundamental elements of nature: water, fire, earth, wood, and metal. Each of these elements brings a different energy to the space, and when they are in balance, they create an environment that feels simultaneously energizing and calming. The water element is associated with the ability to flow, adapt, and emotion. It can be represented in your home through the literal presence of water, such as a small aquarium or fountain, or symbolically through mirrors, glass, or shiny surfaces that reflect light like water does. Colors and shades of blue and black also represent this element. The fire element brings energy, passion, and transformation. It can be incorporated through candles, warm lighting, or a fireplace. The colors red, orange, and deep purple also represent fire, as do triangular or pointed shapes. The earth element connects us with stability, nurturing, and warmth. Ceramics, clay pots, crystals, and stones are excellent representations of this element. Colors like brown, yellow, and earth tones also evoke this energy, as do square and flat shapes. The wood element is linked to growth, vitality, and expansion. Living plants are the most powerful way to bring this element into your home, but wooden furniture and objects also work. Green and turquoise represent this element, as do vertical rectangular shapes that resemble trees growing toward the sky. Finally, the metal element brings precision, efficiency, and clarity. Metallic objects, especially gold, silver, or bronze, represent this element. White and metallic colors also evoke it, as do circular shapes that resemble coins or jewelry. To apply this principle, evaluate each room in your home and identify which elements are present and which are missing. Then, make small adjustments to bring more balance. A room with a lot of wood, such as a wooden bed and dresser, might benefit from the addition of a water element, such as a small mirror, or a metal element, such as a silver lamp. This balance not only creates a visually harmonious environment, but also subtly affects how we feel in the space. Tip 7. The flow and function method. This 7th principle invites us to organize our spaces not just to look good, but to function perfectly for our daily needs. The flow and function method is based on carefully observing how you actually live and move around your home, rather than following arbitrary rules of decor or organization. Start by observing your movement patterns. Where do you enter your home? Where do you go first thing in the morning? How do you move from one room to another? These natural paths that you take daily are your flow lines, and ideally, they should be completely unobstructed and free of obstacles. If you constantly bump into a coffee table or have to step around an armchair to get to the kitchen, that's a sign that your flow is compromised. Next, look at the functions that each space in your home needs to fulfill. A foyer, for example, needs to be a place where you can easily take off your shoes, hang up your coats and bags, and perhaps check your appearance before leaving. The organization of this space should therefore include a place to sit, books, or a coat rack, and possibly a mirror. The kitchen should be organized into functional zones: a prep area near the sink, a cooking area near the stove, a food storage area, and so on. Utensils and ingredients should be stored close to where they will be used. A practical way to apply this principle is to follow the first drawer rule. Items that you use most often should be in the most accessible drawers and shelves, while items that you use infrequently can be placed in less convenient locations. For example, in the kitchen, utensils that you use daily should be in the first drawer that you naturally reach for when cooking, not on the other side of the room. The most profound benefit of this principle is that when your home is organized according to its natural flow and the functions you need it to fulfill, you will spend much less energy on daily tasks. Your home works with you, not against you. And this frees up mental and physical energy for the things that really matter. Tip 8. The art of visible and invisible organization. This 8th principle teaches us about the delicate balance between what should be seen and what should be hidden in our homes. Traditional philosophy understands that some things gain value when they are on display, while others work best when they are hidden from view. Invisible organization refers to the systems we keep hidden, the insides of closets and drawers, storage boxes under the bed, shelves behind closed doors. These spaces should be as organized as any visible area of your home, not because anyone will see them, but because hidden clutter still affects your mind, even if subconsciously. Every time you open a messy drawer, you experience a small moment of stress. In contrast, opening a perfectly organized drawer provides a small satisfaction that builds up over time. Visible organization, on the other hand, refers to the items we choose to display openly. Here, selectivity is key. Not everything deserves to be on display. Reserve this privilege for objects that are simultaneously functional and beautiful, or that have special meaning to you. A bookshelf doesn't have to be filled from floor to ceiling with books. Instead, it might contain a few favorite books, along with empty spaces and a few meaningful objects that tell your story. The ideal balance between visible and invisible varies from person to person. Some prefer a more minimalist aesthetic, with few items in plain sight. Others feel more comfortable with more visible objects. There is no right or wrong, just what works best for your peace of mind. A practical tip for implementing this principle is to consider the visual and functional value of each item. Something might be highly functional, but visually unappealing, like cleaning products, or visually pleasing, but rarely used, like a special piece of decor. Items with high functional value, but low visual value should be stored inconspicuously. Items with high visual value, but low functional value can be displayed, but in moderation. And those rare items that are both beautiful and frequently used deserve a place of honor in your space. Tip 9. The ritual of constant renewal. This 9th and final principle reminds us that tidying is not a destination, but an ongoing journey. Rather than viewing tidying as a monumental task that you do once or twice a year, this principle invites us to incorporate small moments of tidying into our daily routine, transforming them into meaningful rituals. The word ritual is important here. A ritual differs from a simple task in that it is performed with presence and intention, not just to achieve the end result, but to value the process itself. For example, the simple act of making your bed in the morning can be transformed into a ritual of renewal, a moment of creating order and beauty that sets the tone for the rest of the day. Likewise, the 5 minutes you spend before bed to put misplaced items back in their designated places can become a closing ritual that helps calm your mind for a restful night's sleep. Incorporating these small rituals into your routine eliminates the need for major stressful reorganizations because order is maintained on an ongoing basis. One practical way to apply this principle is to establish what we might call a reset ritual for each room. For example, before you leave the kitchen after a meal, take 2 minutes to do a quick reset. Wipe down surfaces, put away ingredients, make sure everything is in its place. Likewise, before you leave the office at the end of the day, tidy up your papers, organize your desk, and prepare your space for the next day. These rituals may seem small, but their cumulative impact is huge. Not only do they keep your spaces organized with much less effort, they also create small moments of mindfulness throughout the day. Moments when you are fully present with your surroundings and your actions. And perhaps the most profound benefit of this principle is how it teaches us that real change comes not from grand, dramatic gestures, but from small, consistent actions taken with intention day after day. And so we come to the end of our journey through the 9 ancient principles of organization. I hope you've come to realize that these are not just methods for keeping your home tidy, but true philosophies of life that can transform your relationship with your belongings, your space, and ultimately, your own mind. We began by talking about how each object deserves a specific place, and we ended by understanding that true organization is a continuous journey, not a final destination. In between, we explored the power of empty space, the importance of gratitude for the objects that serve us, and how completing the cycle of our daily tasks can bring a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. We learned that we should subtract before we add, balance the 5 elements in our space, organize according to our natural flow, and find the delicate balance between what should be seen and what should be kept out of sight. What all of these principles have in common is the recognition that our home is an extension of our mind. When we create order on the outside, we naturally cultivate order on the inside. When our environment is harmonious and functional, our mind finds harmony and clarity as well. Now it's your turn to put these principles into practice. You don't have to implement them all at once. Start with the one that resonates with you the most today. Maybe it's the practice of material gratitude or the method of flow and function. Start small, be consistent, and watch as these ancient principles begin to transform not just your home, but your life as a whole. If you found this video helpful, please leave a comment below sharing which principle you'll implement first. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to receive more videos like this. And remember, true organization isn't about perfection, but about creating an environment that nurtures the best version of you. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.